Hi, my name is Carina. I was arrested during the raid at City Hall that took place Tuesday night, Wednesday morning.
Where were you at night? Where were you during the police raids?
Well, I was on the civil disobedience medical crew, so for a while we were just walking around the perimeter and walking through the streets, making sure that, if anyone was hurt, they would be able to get first aid attention. And then as soon as we saw that the cops were coming in, we moved towards the center of the plaza, and I ended up being in the outer circle that formed in the South Plaza.
Could you tell us something about yourself? Who are you and all that, if you could?
I'm 24. I'm a graduate from California State University, Long Beach. Before I came here, a couple of friends and I were organizing something in Long Beach called Be Heard, which stands for Building Empowerment Through Healing, Education, Art, Respect, and Dignity. Long acronym, I know, but it was going to be focused on youth programs and youth empowerment through art and political education. It kind of ended up falling through after this, but the summer before I was also one of the program coordinators for a program called Yabasta.
So tell me what happened when the police came to arrest you. How did they arrest you?
My arrest was very rough. I was prepared for them to use pain compliance, but in my opinion, I think they went way overboard. I can't go into the details of my arrest, but I will be filing sexual assault and police brutality charges against one of my arresting officers. And I say one of my arresting officers because there ended up being 5 that...
You seem to be a very big person.
I'm 5'1" and I weigh 105 pounds.
So 5 police officers were on you to arrest you. I know you cannot talk in details. How did they, what did you do? What kind of communication? I assume you told them that, look at me, I'm no match to one of you, let alone 5 of you.
It was really hard to communicate. As soon as they ripped me from the circle, I had a jacket with a hood on it, so they flipped the hood over my head so I couldn't really see what was going on at all. And once they took me out of the circle, they ended up dropping me at one point, and that's when I got into a fetal position, and that's when they picked me up to drag me off. And when we got to the walkway, they had bright floodlights on, and that's when they flipped the hood off my head, and so I just had bright lights. And there was a lot of my friends here that I heard yelling because they were being put in arm bars, and the police kept repeating, "Stop resisting arrest." And they kept repeating, "I'm not resisting, where do you want my hands, where do you want my arms?" Because once we got taken out of the circle, it's like, okay, well, fine, you have us, like, we're done with civil disobedience, like, you're gonna put zip ties on us, fine. But even after people had complied, there was a lot of people that got put in arm bars, like I said, and even though they were saying, "I'm not resisting, where do you want my hands, where should I put my arms?" the police continued to yell, "You're resisting arrest," and continued to put them into arm bars.
What facility did they take you?
Huh?
What facility did they take you?
They took me to county, and that's where I was processed and held for maybe 10 hours. I'm not sure. I didn't have access to a timepiece, but after that I got transferred to Van Nuys jail, and then I got bailed out from there.
And then what are your charges now?
The only charge that they ended up putting down on paper was failure to disperse.
And are you one of those who had to pay $5,000 to be bailed?
No, that was the bail, $5,000, but my dad, who was actually nice enough to put up my bail, he went through a bail bonds company, so he put down $500.
And then would you like to add anything, say anything, any last comments, any words of advice?
My notes of advice would be to anyone getting involved, be careful. Don't ever walk anywhere by yourself. The police have been harassing people that they know to be involved with this. A couple of our people were walking down the street coming back from dinner, and a cop car came around and was saying, why did you flag me down, when they hadn't flagged him down. They were saying that they needed to respect the cops more and that they were being disrespectful when they were just walking down the sidewalk. But I don't know. Like I've been telling people, it was really offensive, the statement that the mayor put out, and like honestly, like it hurt my feelings a lot to have the mayor come out after the experience that I went through and the experience that I saw, like the friends that I've come to love very much, and have the mayor say that it was one of the finest moments in LAPD's history, because there was a lot of aggressive action taken that was completely unnecessary.
Thank you. Tell us what happened the night of the police raid.
Sure. On the morning of November 30th, no, is that right? Yeah, November 30th. On the night of November 30th, I was arrested around 2:15 in the morning. I was one of the people trying to serve as a volunteer medic. The police came in. We knew the police were going to come out and try to surround us, but we didn't know exactly where they were going to come from. And I guess around 12:15 or 12:30, they started pouring out of City Hall, running in full riot gear. There were some barricades set up. They plowed through those. Within probably 5 minutes, they had sectioned off the entire square, as well as the park, and all the streets. I think 2 streets down, they started chasing people down the streets. I myself was sitting in the square in the actual plaza. I kind of ditched in at the last minute because I had volunteered to take care of the people that were going to be there until the end, in case any tear gas or pepper spray or anything like that was used or people were beaten. I won't talk in particular about my arrest itself. I will say that many people, friends of mine that were linked up with me, were abused. They were left with bruises, let alone, and that's without they hurt me, and that's without mentioning all the problems that they actually, all the ways that they treated us between City Hall and then transporting us to the Metro Department Detention Center. It was scary. For me, even though I've known it for a long time, it was a really sharp reminder that we do live in a police state. They carried out a paramilitary operation against the citizens of this country, and it was not peaceful, as the mayor and many other people have said.
I know you cannot talk about your own kids, but can you talk about what happened on the bus to others?
Sure. There are tons of stories. One of my friends on my bus, we had to beg for 2 hours for them to loosen his cuffs because his hands were actually turning colors. The flex cuffs were so tight. I know that there was another bus where people sat on the bus for 8 hours. Women were forced to pee in the same bag in front of each other. There was an 80-year-old woman on that bus. When people asked the officers to loosen her cuffs because her hands were also turning colors, they turned and simply said she should have stayed her 80-year-old ass at home. There's countless of other stories. A girl about 5 foot tall had her hands up. She was tased for 30 seconds, coming down out of a tree. I mean, there's just an endless kind of array of stories. And so, but I think, and I'll just, sorry, go ahead and ask. No, what were we going to say?
It's all right.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened to you in the jail. Where did they take you?
So it took us, I know that it took some people as long as 23 hours to get a bed. People were not given water for between 12 and 14 hours, weren't given food for 14 hours. If people said anything, they were taken to solitary confinement. But I also want to note the positive notes of being in jail. We actually got a chance to talk to some of the people that were in jail with us, and they were interested. They found out about the movement, people that hadn't known about the movement before. It's also important to note that a lot of people that were arrested hadn't really been part of the movement at all and didn't want to get arrested, but the cops had kettled everyone in, and so a lot of innocent people, or when I say innocent, people that weren't even part of the protests were arrested. And in that time, we were able to organize with them, and they grew actually to see themselves as part of the movement, and I think that was important. And lastly, I'll say that one thing that I will keep with me for the rest of my life is the solidarity that I saw in jail. We were able to mic check and communicate with each other between cells, within our own cells. People held impromptu general assemblies to discuss the different issues, and I saw that as perhaps the greatest show that we are being successful in our movement, and that that we have a great future. This movement isn't just ours, it is for everybody, and I saw that it is truly growing.
Thank you very much.